Well, welcome to our webinar today. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who are looking into starting your own business, believe me, this is the right place at the right time. I'm one of the people here at American Business Systems, the CEO of the company, and I'm one of the people that can help you make a good decision as to whether this is the right business for you. It's not for everybody, we know that, but if you're looking for something that you can do from anywhere in the world that has an internet connection, as long as you have a device that connects to the internet, you can run this business from anywhere. We literally have our licensees all over the world doing medical billing for doctors, providing revenue management services for doctors, and they do that with any device, again, that connects to the internet. Doesn't matter if it's a Windows computer, an Apple computer, a tablet, an iPad. You can run this business from anywhere. That's the great thing about it. It's truly cloud-based software that we have. First of all, we do help doctors to get started and help them with their medical billing. This is a shot of one of our support centers out there in California, by the way. We are more of a virtual company nowadays. We have offices all over the place. I'm in the Fort Worth, Dallas area of Texas, but we do have people all over from coast to coast, literally, that are with our technology partners. As you can see, we've been doing this for 25 years, and that just means we've been around a while doing what we say we're going to do, or well, we wouldn't be here. It is a cloud-based system, as I mentioned earlier, that runs on any platform. It doesn't matter what browser you're using, what operating system. Since it's cloud-based, it can be run from anywhere. You literally could take a brand new laptop you just picked up at Best Buy, go to Starbucks, and log into our system and work from there. Nothing is downloaded to your computer at all, which is great because you don't want any hint of the software or your patient data on your hard drive of your computer in case it's stolen or lost. So we do it all in the cloud, and of course back those up, redundant servers in different parts of the country. It's backed up nightly, and it runs on literally any device that's connected to the internet. It's a complete system that includes, of course, our iClaim medical billing practice management system. That's software that does the billing. Then we've got an electronic medical record system that the doctors and their staff can use when they're seeing the patients to put in data. We have our own built-in patient portal, just like you probably have with your own doctor. It's pretty common nowadays, but our patient portal is like the most high-tech thing you've ever seen. Literally everything about you, your prescriptions, your visits, is all done through the patient portal, including e-visits with the doctor. And we have our own clearinghouse. We're the only company that doesn't have you hook up with just your own clearinghouse out there, because believe me, that's a headache to do it yourself. So we just have our own clearinghouse built in, and our rejection rate on claims is lower than just about anything out there. So you never have to worry about that, and there's no charge for those claims as they go through there as well. I mentioned earlier that I am the CEO, the founder of the company. My wife and I started doing medical billing back in the late 80s, early 90s. We started licensing other people to do it. I'm on the editorial board of BC Advantage magazine, which is a print magazine, over 40,000 subscribers that are in billing and coding. And I'm also an author. I've written several books. You can find those books that you see it on the screen out on Amazon.com and in your local bookstores. Now, one of them there in the middle is a book that I wrote with Dr. Vicki Rackner, who is our guest panelist today. By the way, the printout of all these slides with a lot of quotes and things that might be interesting to you if you're doing research about our business are in the handouts section. You'll see it right now over there. It's a PDF that you can download, and you'll have all the slides that we're going to go through here, and we may not even get to all of them, so you'll have even more slides than we're going to get to today. I mentioned our special guest is Dr. Vicki Rackner. She is a retired general surgeon who saw thousands of patients over a long period of time, and she at one point decided she wanted to help other doctors thrive in their own practice. She is a graduate of the Washington School of Medicine. She is also a fellow of the American College of Surgeons, and she is an author. There's the book that we wrote together, The New Thriving Medical Practice, but you can see she's got several other books that she's published and written over the years that you can, again, find most of those on Amazon. She's also been interviewed by a lot of TV and magazines and radio stations across the country. She's well known as she travels around the country speaking for groups of doctors that are out there. And she's also a contributor to Financial Physicians Money Digest and the Journal of Medical Practice Management. She's also on our advisory board and helped us found the organization called the MERMA. That's the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, which is what you'll be certified by if you go through our training. Our training is all done online at your convenience around your schedule, one-on-one with a certified instructor. So with that, I'm going to see if Dr. Vicki is actually on the line. And if she is, we'll just turn off the slides here for a second and just let her and I be talking to you live. In fact, there she is. Thank you, Dr. Vicki, for joining us today.
Well, thank you for the invitation. You know how excited I am to talk with people who could potentially help lots and lots of doctors.
I know your heart's desire is to help doctors. That's why one of the recent books that you wrote is called The Myth of the Rich Doctor. Can you tell us, are doctors not rich? I thought they all drove Porsches.
Right, yeah, right, they do. Well, actually, the reality is that they are not all rich, and that Porsche in the doctor's parking lot may well be leased, and that doctor who's driving that leased Porsche may be 30 days away from foreclosure. So the reality is that doctors are very blessed to make very high incomes, but the deal is that we doctors don't do money very well. So it doesn't really matter how much money you make. If you're spending more than you make, or you're not saving, or you're not making appropriate investments in your business and making sure that people aren't stealing from you, well, it's kind of hard. And you know, I just wanted to tell the truth. The truth is that half of doctors are behind in retirement planning. It's kind of an embarrassing picture for such smart people to be making such dumb financial choices. And it's not just one doctor or two doctors. I mean, I think we as a group of professionals just really have a hard time with money.
I think you even say in your book that it's kind of a well-known fact amongst everybody who's ever worked for a doctor that they're great at what they do to help patients get well, but they're not the best business people in the world.
They're really not. And, you know, the stories that I hear, like there was one surgeon who was very, very generous. I mean, his son said he would give the shirt off his back for a patient, and he often, you know, operated on patients just out of the generosity of his heart. He outlived his money. He actually had to move in with his son. So there are so many stories like that. And it's kind of a shame, because I know that when doctors are working with ABS licensees, there can be a complete transformation. So, you know, you've got these doctors who are experiencing financial pain. They may be in despair. They may be thinking, oh, I'm just never going to be able to make it. I'm going to have to sell my practice to the hospital. But actually, transformation is possible. There really is hope. And it's so great working with your licensees, who are sort of the harbinger of hope. They are the ones who really help doctors get back to the dream that attracted them to a career in medicine.
Yeah, we've heard that story as I interview various licensees. I hear that story over and over again that, you know, I ran across a doctor that was struggling. They knew they needed help. They weren't sure exactly why their cash flow wasn't what it should have been. And we straightened that out for them. And within 6 months, they were able to go buy that Porsche instead of leasing one. So,
Exactly. You know, it's kind of funny because I talk with so many of your ABS licensees who are feeling like, oh, gee, the doctor knows so much. Like, why would they want to talk with me? But the reality is that just the average entrepreneur has much more knowledge about how money works and how to make businesses profitable than doctors ever were. So it's a really nice pairing. You know, when your licensees help doctors become more successful, they become successful themselves, and then doctors can serve in a bigger way. It's one of those win-win-win relationships.
it is. I think that's why people love this business when they get in it. They realize not only can I make the kind of money I want to make, and it's unlimited what they can make. It just depends on how big they want to build their business. But they're actually helping doctors. They're helping their community by helping those doctors stay in private practice and not go to work for the hospitals and the big groups and things. Here's a quote that I ran across. This is from the Doctor Patient Medical Association Foundation. 2 out of 3 doctors say they are just squeaking by or in the red financially. Have you found that to be true amongst the doctors you've known?
Yeah, that really is. As shocking as that is, unfortunately, that's the reality. And why would this be the case? Well, You know, the average medical student leaves medical school with maybe two, three, even $400,000 worth of debt. Sometimes they're buying into practice. They're, borrowing to get up and running. And they don't always know how to market. They don't always know how to attract their best fit, profitable patients. And then they just sort of ignore the business side of the practice. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are out to do bad things with doctors. I have a personal friend who was embezzled by her trusted office manager. This woman drained hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the practice.
Wow.
And, it was happening right under this doctor's nose because she just didn't want to believe that anything was going wrong. So there are all sorts of reasons, good reasons, that doctors have a hard time. But again, with the right partner, things can truly transform.
Yeah, we see that over and over again as our success stories come in from our licensees. There was a survey done by Medscape on the national physician burnout and depression. Who would have thought? Why are doctors burned out?
Well, there are a lot of reasons, Patrick, but this is approaching epidemic stages. It's estimated that 40% of physicians experienced burnout last year. So this is toxic stress. They don't want to see patients. They don't want to go to work. The joy is gone. And it's kind of frightening thinking that these are the people who are taking care of the American population.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is not good for anyone. And there are numbers of things that are contributing, but interestingly enough, mostly it's about the business side of medicine, right? They sort of feel like the electronic medical record has gotten in the middle of the doctor-patient relationship. They're tired of all of the administrative burdens. They're tired of, working hard to collect the money that they deserve. And all in all, doctors are very, very unhappy. And when they're asked, what would you need to be happier? Some of them say, I need to be making 50% more, 100% more. I need to work less. I mean, right now, if you talk to doctors, it's sort of like they're on the hamster wheel, sort of feeling like they've got to go faster and faster just to keep from getting behind. And they don't see hope. They don't see a way out, but there is one. I believe that any doctor who's really committed to staying in private practice not only can do it, but can do it profitably with the right help.
Yeah, and we find that true more and more as doctors through the years, as our licensee have signed up doctors as clients. We're finding more and more of them are expressing to our licensees, look, I realized at some point, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to the billing and getting the money out of the insurance companies and Medicare and Medicaid. I don't know how to do that because I don't want to fight with them, and yet I don't want to just turn it over to a stranger. And so more and more doctors are doing that in-house with their own staff using their own software. But we're seeing the trend over the last 3 or 4 years at least that doctors are saying, you know what, that's not my expertise. I wasn't trained on how to do billing. I'm going to turn that over to somebody who knows what they're doing and who's been through some training and has an organization behind them like Myrma that can help them be successful in that.
Well, so if you think about it, you want to make smart business choices where everybody has skin in the game. And I know that most doctors, myself included, and I'd be happy to tell you my story, but when I first got started in practice, I was partnered with a surgeon who actually had done his own in-house billing. And the reason that he did that was he felt like that was the way that he had most control. And this is really big with doctors, right? They want control.
Yeah.
But let's think about this for a minute. Okay, the person he had hired made a little more than minimum wage. She kind of took care of everything. And what incentive did she have about making sure that all the claims were really collected?
Right, the pay's the same no matter what she collects.
Right, and it doesn't make her look very good if we would go to her, hey, what's our rejection rate? Oh, it's 30%. 30% of our claims are getting rejected. I mean, that makes her look bad. So she never really had an incentive to be aggressive and assertive and collect these things. But then it gets even better, right? So then the CPA goes to a doctor and says, hey, look, doctor, you need tax write-offs. Don't worry about those rejected insurance claims. It'll help lower your taxes. So like there's this whole system set up for essentially doctors to fail. And what other business person would dream of walking away from 30% of their revenue? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that could be a six-figure, $100,000 or more that they're giving up, and you get maybe 40% if you're in the 40% tax bracket. So I'd rather have $100,000 in my bank account than 40,000. I don't know about you, but that's
Well, there really are ways that doctors in private practice can and should be thinking about how to make the new tax law work for them. But this is another source of financial pain for doctors, because we've got this new tax law starting in 2018, and the people who are helped are the corporations, the people who work for the corporations. But who's not helped? It's the high earning doctors and lawyers. And if they know how to do things correctly, if they have the right corporate structure and things like that, that's another big way that they can put more money in their pocket. But just simply walking away from rejected insurance claims is kind of wacko. But then you think about the ABS model. Okay, so the licensees have skin in the game, right? They collect a percentage of what they collect. So now everybody's goals are aligned. As a system, this just makes a lot more sense. So I think that, once doctors really start to think about it, doctor, what's the best way to get control? Well, it's probably to have checks and balances, right? It's not keeping everything in-house. And so you can educate doctors. You can understand what's important to them of being in control, about being able to take care of their families and send their kids to college, and do it in a way that makes sense for them.
Well, they should be focused, on their core competency, which is, of course, helping patients get well and stay well. And they're, again, focusing on the billing side just doesn't make sense unless they've been trained themselves to do that. They think they can hire somebody, and usually it's just somebody who came into the office to do other things, and they said, hey, can you get over here and fill out a few of these claims and send them in, so it's a secondary thought for most doctors.
It is. And so there are some real limitations about, why a doctor might not want to keep billing in-house. So first, they might not collect all their owed. But there's another advantage to outsourcing to an expert. I mean, experts know how to do things better. I mean, a doctor could go and get TurboTax and do their own taxes, but they don't do it. And why? The stakes are too high. They have too much to lose.
Right.
Well, when you're doing billing, not only can you lose by not collecting on rejected claims, but a big fear that doctors have is being audited. And what is one of the triggers for audits? It's being an outlier. Now, if a doctor hires somebody who's just doing the billing for their own practice, they don't know where they stand in relationship to the whole community. So an outsourced biller knows, what are doctors in this area charging? What are they getting? And so it also decreases your risk of getting audited.
Yeah, there was a study done recently by the blackbookrankings.com organization. It said 42% of all physician practices with 1 to 5 billing staff hope to outsource their billing in the next 12 months. That's encouraging to me. For our licensees, they should know that means that a huge number of doctors who now do the billing in-house with their own staff want to outsource it for various reasons. But the great news is that we teach our licensees to help the doctor repurpose the staff to help the doctor just see more patients, because he's going to have more time to see patients, and maybe even get them through their own time.
Absolutely. And really, that's what doctors want, right? What I wanted to do in my practice is I wanted to attract more of the kinds of patients that I wanted to see, women with breast cancer. And I wanted my staff really focused on taking good care of them. And well, is it okay if I just tell my story here about how I came to
Oh yeah,
outsource my billing?
yeah.
All
You have a
right.
great story. Yeah.
So I started out by joining another surgeon in private practice. And as I mentioned, he outsourced his billing. And not too long after I arrived, his trusted woman who had been with him for years and years handed in her resignation. Ouch. So we wanted to find somebody else. We didn't want to rush. And so we hired a temp, and my partner's wife, I just smile when I think about it. She said, "How hard can this billing stuff be? I'll just take a couple hours from my tennis game and do the billing for you." And she was at it about a week before she told her husband, "You need to hire an expert. This is really complicated." So we were delighted with our temp. The temp used to go out into the waiting room and help the little old ladies fill out their registration materials. And we thought, maybe we should hire her, but she didn't have any background in billing. So we finally found somebody. And a couple of months after we'd hired our new person, we got a call from the temp agency. They said, "Hey, we're really embarrassed to tell you this, but the temp we sent to you actually has a felony conviction for Medicare fraud. So if you notice any irregularities in your billing, that might raise a red flag." But the thing is, like, things were such a mess that even if there were a problem, I'm not sure how we would have figured out. I mean, I remember actually, instead of taking money out of the practice, I had to make an owner investment to pay our quarterly taxes. So
Wow.
it was just a complete mess. And the other thing is, we trusted this woman. Like, doctors tend to trust people. We know intellectually that there are people out there to take advantage of doctors, but we're not very good at figuring out who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. So I had an opportunity to go and break out and set up my own practice at another hospital that was forming a multidisciplinary breast team. And like, when I signed the contract to lease my office space, like, the very first thing I knew was I was going to outsource my billing. This was too important. I mean, my life depended on cash flow, right? It's
Yeah.
just like, oxygen fuels ourselves. Cash flow fuels our lives. And I did not want that uncertainty about, what would happen if this or that or the other thing happened. And I'll tell you, Patrick, in retrospect, that was probably the best single choice I made. It resulted in all sorts of positive things happening. Like, I got a snapshot of my practice. I knew what activities were generating the most revenue, so I could really grow my practice by design instead of by default.
Well, I think that's why this study here by the HIT consultancy group said the revenue cycle management market, currently valued at 20.5 billion, is estimated to reach 40.4 billion by 2021. Now, folks, that's that term, the revenue cycle management market. That's what we teach you to do. In fact, we certify you as a certified medical revenue manager, and you're helping that doctor with basically their cash flow. That's what it boils down to. As a CEO, Vicki, I tell people, you can come to me with any problem in my company, and if I have enough cash flow, I can probably solve it. Whether it's not enough employees or not a big enough space or not enough inventory, cash flow is the key there, and it's king. It's still king. It always will be. So it's going to double here, 2021. That's another year away. So I just tell people, if you're looking to get into a business that's going to be around a while, I think as long as they're human beings, as long as they get sick, as long as they go to a doctor, the doctor has to bill somebody and get paid. Somebody has to do the billing to get that doctor paid. And that's all we teach people to do, is just get the money.
Yeah.
Every single dime that's due to the doctor, we can get that in.
Yeah. So just another story that kind of illustrates the challenges that doctors face. So there are a lot of doctors who are having cash flow problems, right? And so the crazy thing is that they'll go see a banker to take out a line of credit instead of taking a look at, okay, like, where's the money going, and not seeing that they are sitting on this huge accounts receivable. It just doesn't make sense. And like I said, it's kind of embarrassing to be so smart and know so little about this, but that's doctors' reality.
We have licensees all the time tell us that they've run across a doctor's office that has a $500,000 up to $1 million in receivables that they just haven't been able to focus on and collect it. Like you said, their CPA probably tells them, hey, at the end of the year, just write it off, as a tax write-off. But I'm sure they'd rather have a $500,000 in their bank account.
I'll tell Patrick, this is not an exaggeration. I just met a surgeon entrepreneur, and she basically wants out of her surgical practice. She has $1 million in accounts receivable.
Yikes.
1 million.
That could solve
nuts.
If we could just, and we've had licensees go in and work on those bad accounts and collect 40-50% of that.
Yeah.
That would mean a whole lot to a lot of practices. Might mean they stay in private practice rather than go to work for a hospital somewhere.
Right. I mean, this could potentially be her retirement, right? If she could just collect this.
Yeah, that's right. All right, I don't see any questions coming in, but folks, that's why we pointed you to the question box. This is live, and this is your opportunity to ask an actual doctor who's really not. Dr. Vicki doesn't work for us. We're partnered together. We work together, but we've known each other for what, maybe 5-6 years now.
A lifetime, right?
It seems like it. And we've even written a book together. But she, again, is an independent consultant who does training, writes books, and speaks all over the country. By the way, I'm in Texas. It's about, 65, 70 degrees outside. How about you? Where are you at?
Go ahead and rub that in, Patrick. It's sub-zero in Minneapolis right now.
Oh, my goodness. Can't even imagine. No wonder you're all wrapped up there with a scarf around.
It's so cold. It's so cold. I took my dog out for a walk and my eyeballs got cold. I had to turn around and come back.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Moni, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, M-O-N-Y, says, I see so many business opportunities in this. Well, you're right. We haven't even touched on many of the things that you can do. Oh, she says, yes, that's right. Yep. But there are a lot of different things. Okay, so let me get to this before we run out of too much time here. There's doctors who think that it costs more money to outsource their billing than to just hire their own staff to do it inside their own office. But they don't count some of the hidden things that you see here on this chart, do they? I mean, there's things that they pay for training, workers' comp, payroll taxes, of course, the salaries themselves, and they can end up spending twice, as you can see from this chart, twice what it would cost them just to outsource it to a medical biller who charges, say, 6% of the money that's collected. Like you said earlier, most staff members don't have any encouragement or motivation to collect that money for the doctor. They figure, oh, the doctor's driving that Porsche and I'm driving a little, Volkswagen, so they don't need that money. No motivation there.
Right. But, as I talk with doctors, what I always ask them is, how are you going to have more money in your checking account at the end of the month? And, framing the question that way, it's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. It doesn't, if you're collecting 30% more, even if you're paying, 1/6 for that, I mean, those numbers are real, right? But the value of collecting more is huge. Let's just run some numbers here. Okay, so the average orthopedic surgeon gets out of fellowship training and is taking home about $500,000 a year. And that's after expenses, after they pay their rent and medical malpractice insurance. And so the amount that they're collecting in order to take home $500,000, well, you run the numbers.
Yeah,
you run the numbers and see how much more that is a month. And then the licensees get a percentage of that.
Right. Yeah, and I use the example of 6% there, but our licensees have gotten 7-8%. It depends on the specialist, the volume of claims. If it's a surgeon who only does 20 surgeries a month, they might make just as much money, but not have as many claims to process. Whereas if it's a smaller general practice, they might be doing 400 claims a month, still making those 7-8%, let's say, of that, and that come out of very quickly.
Yes, yes.
Here's another study by that Black Book Research Organization says 96% of practice leaders report inefficient billing processes. You ran into that yourself when you were in practice, weren't you?
Yeah.
And the doctor's the doctor's wife, you said, took over the billing and decided this is not something I want to do. I don't blame them. Let's see. Here's another study that said 100% of all practices electing to outsource in 2018 noted dropping collections and the time to collect. Because you see, by outsourcing, you leave all that in the hands of the biller. Now, folks, the great thing about our system is you don't have to make any phone calls or even drop any letters in the mail. This is all an automated system that does all that collecting for the doctor and for you, just automated completely. So you don't have to worry about that. You're not calling up little old ladies asking for their $20 payment this month or something like that. Now, Dr. Vicki, you came up with this chart and showed it to me one time. This is, I think, really why doctors get burned out. They have to think about all these things, don't they?
They do. They do. And I'll tell you, I'm a contributor to the Journal of Medical Practice Management. The editor told me that she has to have something about theft and fraud and liability in every issue because it's such a trigger for doctors. This is really the major problem with keeping things in-house. When you've got the same person sending out the bills, collecting the co-pays and cashing the checks, bad things can and do happen. So, in our government, we have systems of checks and balances. Outsourcing creates a system of checks and balances. Staff retention, I told you the horror when this woman quit. I mean, we were kind of beside ourselves. Now, granted, when my staff went on vacation, when they were sick, it was a problem, right? But I didn't have to worry about how I was going to pay my mortgage if somebody was sick or on vacation. I knew that cash was going to be coming in no matter what. Audits are huge. This is something that doctors really, really worry about. And most doctors want to do everything that they can to decrease the risk that an audit will happen. Now, some people are audited. Some people are audited for their taxes just because, of bad luck. It's your time. But doctors really have a strong incentive to not get audited. And then the administrative burdens, it takes the fun out of medicine.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Nobody likes to deal with paperwork and the admin side of something when they can get in there and do operations and fix people. And that's the fun part, I imagine, of medicine, is doing those things. One of the questions here from Alex says, who are our clients? What kind of doctors need help, and what do they have to have? What's the basic thing that we have to look for as ABS licensees to bill for a doctor? Isn't it just the fact that they're billing on that form that the government came up with, the 1500 form?
So, all right. So as you look at doctors, they all need to get paid, right? So, and we get paid the same pretty much. We see patients, we assign a diagnostic and procedure code and then send it to the insurance company. The insurance company sends us back a check with an explanation of benefits. Say, you go collect this amount from the patient, and here's our check. So most ABS licensees are working with doctors who have an ownership stake in the practice. They are independent. Maybe they've got some doctor employees. Maybe the doctors are partners. And so this group of doctors, usually maximum of about 10 people, they will get their billing done. Now, there are other doctors who are employees for hospitals and for clinics. And Patrick, do you have any licensees who are working with hospitals and clinics?
Well, yes, we have licensees who bill for hospitalists, for example. They're independent doctors that go and visit the patients on behalf of the hospital, but they do their own billing. But as far as the billing for a hospital, that's usually done by a huge group of people. They've spent millions of dollars on the software, and it's not an easy thing to get in
Right,
to a
right.
hospital because of the boards and so forth. They have to
Okay.
pass all the red
Well,
tape.
I just wanted to confirm that. So your ideal doctor prospect is somebody who has an ownership stake in the practice.
That's right.
They're an independent contractor. They own their own, cardiology practice, and they're generally not employees.
Right. Yeah, we have licensees, of course, who have signed up clients that have 15, 20, 30. We have one out in California, in fact, a lady who's signed up a group of 80 doctors in a group.
Yikes.
So it does happen, but the ideal target is the 1 to 10 smaller practices that are out there. So our clients really include every specialty that's out there that, again, are employed, are owners of their own practice. Yeah. Every specialty you can think of, from urology, cardiology, even chiropractic, even some of the mental health, sleep centers, all of them bill Medicare and the insurance companies on a special form called the 1500 form. So that's one way you can know if somebody's actually billing on the 1500 form that Medicare came up with. Then that's a prospective client of yours. And Alex, we teach about a dozen different ways that we've learned over the past 25 years how to contact those doctors and make that connection that you need to get clients. So that's part of our training there as well. You made this statement to me, or had it in a slide presentation one time or something, Dr. Vicki. I'm going to put it up here because I love this. The physician's pain is your opportunity. What did you mean by that?
Doctors have a lot of financial pain these days. The joy in medicine is evaporating. And any time that you have somebody in pain, that is a business opportunity, because people are inspired to make changes when they're in pain. Think about it, I just found out my dentist retired, and I'm in mourning about that. But he used to talk with me about preventive things that I could do. Let's replace this filling, and yeah, I put it off year after year after year. But when I had a problem, when I was in pain, man, I was in to see Dr. Doty, and I needed action now. So doctors are in pain. This is your opportunity, because you have some solutions. You've got the penicillin. You've got the thing that's really going to turn things around for them.
Yeah, so let's talk about how you and I and ABS and you partnering the way we have over the years and writing a book together and so forth. How does that help our licensees? One of the things I wanted to say was that you basically actually offered to help to partner with our licensees.
Okay, so here's the deal. I have authored the 10 laws of physician engagement. How do you push the doctor's buy button? And one of the laws is that the most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor. So your end game is getting doctors to say great things about you in the doctor's dining room and the surgeon's lounge. When I was looking for my own outsourced medical biller, what did I do? I went to my buddies and I asked them, who are you using? Does this person do a good job? And when the same name came up over and over again, hey, guess what? That's who I hired.
Yeah.
So doctors influence doctors. Now, how many opportunities essentially do you have a doctor help market you? And that's what ABS licensees get. I am willing to write a letter of introduction. You have the opportunity to put your names on books that I've written. Essentially, you've got a doctor helping you market yourself. And this is huge. Again, that law, the most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor.
Yeah, and the fact that you will introduce licensees in their area as having just opened up their own office, being a part of the nation's largest network of medical revenue managers in the United States, that's us through MIRMA. that's big. You've partnered with them literally, and the fact that we've written this book here. Let me kind of enlarge this so you guys can see the bottom part of this book. But look at this. Not only do you have famous people like me and Dr. Vicki Rackner as authors of the book, you can actually put your name on the front cover as having written the foreword. Now, we let you write the foreword if you would like to. We have one that's already pre-written. It's pretty generic that you can put your name at the end of it if you'd like. But it's just a great way to position yourself as having your name on the front cover of that book. And then on the inside, we also let you put your contact information right there at the end of the foreword. So it's like a very inexpensive marketing tool for licensees to use it as a business card almost.
And this is, this is a powerful, powerful marketing piece because of positioning. I mean, once your name is on the cover of a book, your doctor prospects are going to look at you differently. If you've already got relationships with best-selling authors, if your name is going right down there, this elevates your status in the eyes of your doctor prospects. This is incredibly powerful. I've been helping people market to doctors for about a decade now, and this is probably the best marketing tool that I've ever developed.
I agree. Our licensees have literally gone out with this book, given it to a couple of doctors, and one licensee literally said both doctors called her up the next week and said, "Hey, I read your book." Notice they said her book because her name was on the front cover.
Right, exactly.
And said, hey, I think we need help. Now, one of the things we do in our training, of course, is to teach people not just to hand the doctor a book, but we teach a very specific way to get it in the hands of the doctor and to mark it so that there are little sticky tabs on it and highlighting on those pages. So the doctor doesn't have to read the whole thing. It's a very unique way. When they get that book, they go, what's this? And they start turning to those and reading them right in front of your eyes. That's because they don't have time. Doctors don't have time to read a whole book unless it's really specific to what they're interested in. But this one, the fact that it does talk about, well, look, let's look at this subtitle that you came up with, Dr. Vicki. I love this. How to get off the hamster wheel, work smarter, not harder, generate more revenue, and enjoy greater career satisfaction in the era of the Affordable Care Act. That, to me, is the most powerful. Why would a doctor not read this book? But they don't have to read the whole thing. They can just read the highlighted pages if they want to. It's
right.
pretty powerful.
So what I can tell you is this is the kind of tool that really has transformed the kind of results that people who are using will talk about.
I slid out of the picture here just for a second to get this next book that I wanted to show people, because look, this is one that we just released this year. That is another book. Here, I've got a copy of it right here. Now, these are paperback books, by the way, folks, that are actually out on Amazon. The doctor could go and find them out there and order them if they want to. This one's, I think, $14.95. The other one's $24.95. But this one is great because right on the back cover where you have the blurb there about Dr. Vicki, you can put your contact information right on the back cover. So again, a great marketing tool. What an ingenious idea. I wished I had come up with it.
And by the way, the answer to all of those 10 critical questions is outsource your billing. So yes. It's sort of a brochure without being salesy. I mean, this has true value. It's, questions that I think that doctors should be asking if they want to thrive.
Yeah. And of course, we're constantly coming up with new marketing tools. There's another book or two that are in the works right now that we'll be offering to our licensees. Guys, over the past 25 years, we've developed things that work. Some of them didn't work, so we took them off our list and don't use them now. But we're constantly researching these things, and we just came out with a new idea recently with Dr. Vicki's help called a Done For You webinar. You want to explain kind of what that means, Dr. Vicki?
Well, sure. When you're just first getting started, how are you going to engage doctors? Like, what are you actually going to do? And there are some things that we know work, some systems that work. Doctors like being educated. And so in this Done For You webinar, the intention is sort of like a Jiffy cake mix. you know, when you make a Jiffy cake, you add water and an egg and you mix and you sort of can't go wrong. And so in this Done For You webinar, you are taught exactly how to go out and invite doctors to an educational event that actually interests them, and in so doing, get the opportunity of building a relationship with doctors. Uh-oh, I can't hear you, Patrick.
Sorry, I muted myself there while I was coughing. So usually we would teach licensees to do their own seminars, webinars, lunch and learns, and that type of thing. And then we decided, look, some people don't want to do that. They don't know how to create slideshows and things. So we'll just do it for them. And we did one last month. We invited licensees to invite their prospective office managers and doctors to this thing. And we had over 50 people show up for that webinar. We did it. It was very generic. We don't give our name or anything at the end. We just say, get back with the person who invited you to this. So it got licensees in the door to talk to doctors about, in this case, HIPAA compliancy, and they loved it. So that's another tool we came up with. Well, Dr. Vicki, I'm going to wrap up here. I'm going to let you go because I know you've got other things you could be doing besides being on here, and I don't see any more questions coming in. So thank you so much for your time today. I hope people realize the value of having a doctor on their team.
I hope so too. It's a distinct competitive advantage. And before I go, I just wanted to say that I'm a serial entrepreneur, right? I've made investments that have done well. I've also made investments that haven't done so well. And so I'm always looking for opportunities that are, you know, are going to be successful. So is there a market? Am I going to enjoy it? Is there a path to profitability? And Patrick, one of the reasons that I feel so honored to be working with you is that this is such a great business model. You know, this is a service that's needed. It's not like trying to sell ice to the Eskimo. I mean, doctors really do see the value in this. Yeah. You're helping yourself while you're helping doctors, which helps the community. So you know, as far as I'm concerned, this opportunity really checks off all of the criteria that I would look at when I was trying to decide whether or not to make an investment in a certain area. So thank you for those of you who are on the line thinking about helping doctors. If you take advantage of this opportunity, just know that I will be here to support your success because this is an important work that you're doing. So thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, Dr. Vicki. Appreciate it. Stay warm.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, I'm going to just share a few more things with you, and I'll answer any other questions that you want to ask about our business model and opportunity. One of the things that we have is our licensee support site. Now, I've actually logged in here. Hopefully it didn't log me out, but this is a live shot here of my browser. As you can see, we have a news section on here, and when people, licensees log in, they get to see all sorts of information that we're constantly making available to our licensees. So look, you can go back and see that we've been doing this every month. We put valuable information out there for our licensees since October of 2014. Can you see that right over here? So you could literally go back and read everything that we've done, watch every video we've posted, get every handout that we've posted since 2014. And this will continue on as long as you're an ABS licensee. So our licensing fee, if you've looked into our business and know, it's about $27,000 at this point. After soon, in a few weeks, it will be going up another $1,000 because we keep adding new services and marketing tools and things like that. But folks, look at all that's under these tabs that I'm going to just briefly go over here. Here's all the services that you can offer to doctors. Here's the marketing tools that we teach and go over in our training. Here are other tools that you have, including things about books and things that you can use, and all the resources that we make available through MIRMA and other organizations. It's just a wonderful site that's, again, a part of your license fee, and you never pay another dime for any of that from ABS. It's a one-time investment on your part, and that's That's because we don't want to nickel and dime you to death like some companies do. There are no renewal fees for support ever. There are no upgrade fees to the software ever. There are no user seats, like you can only have 5 people, let's say, using your software. No, it's unlimited. And so it's a very good business model. Now, in addition to the support that we give you, of course, you can also come down here and visit us if you want to. These are our offices here in Southlake, Texas. It's right near the DFW airport. So if you fly in, just let us know that you're going to be there. We'll pick you up and bring you over to the offices. You can visit as long as you want to and meet some people there and ask all the questions you want to, because we're real people. And our training, by the way, is done virtually. We used to have people fly out here to Texas for a week and stay at a hotel. There was a lot of expense, and of course you had to arrange for babysitting or whatever, getting off work. Now you set up the training with our live certified instructor online, so that we do this live with you one-on-one. There's nobody else on that training session but you, so you get to ask all the questions you want. You can have them slow down or speed up or skip over any material that you think you know about, and it's very personalized. This is the best way to learn any business, folks. There's no better way than to do this nowadays online, because we can give you handouts, we can play videos, we can show you the software live. It's all right here using the technology that we're using today to show you this webinar. Let's see, I'm seeing some great questions coming in here in comments. Let's see, how does the online training work? Alex, I kind of explained it just then. Again, get back with the person who invited you to this webinar, and they'll go into detail. We can send you a list of the modules that you'll go through. You basically set your own schedule when you're available to do the training, and we'll set aside an hour to an hour and a half for each module and take you through that step by step. We show you the slides, we give you the handouts. By the end of that training, by the way, you'll end up with a binder like this with all of these different tabs and handouts that you've gotten during that online training. So it's a very complete training, looks like 250 pages of materials there. Okay, by the way, at the end of that training, you're certified by the MIRMA organization that Dr. Vicki established, and there's the certificate that has your name on it that shows that you've been through that training and are a certified medical revenue manager. That means you can put after your name, as you saw on the cover of the book. Let me go back to that book and I'll just show you here. There it is right there at the bottom of the book. Let me enlarge that so you can see that. See this fake name that we have on here? Let me get this out of the way. There we go. See, forward by Susan Smith, comma, CMRM. You can do that on your business cards and all of your materials, your website, here on the book. You're a certified medical revenue manager. So that's why we do that. Okay, and I do want to talk about our money back guarantee. First, let me tell you that we are members of the Better Business Bureau here in Fort Worth. We've been a part of their organization for many years and have the highest rating that they can give, which is an A+ rating. You can also check us out on Google and other sites online where we've got some high ratings as well. If you go to the MIRMA.org website, you'll see that we've got information about Dr. Vicki Rackner and the other people that are on our board, advisory board out there that are part of our organization. Let's see. Alex says, thank you. Hope to see you soon. Good. I do too, Alex. I hope you're coming to visit us, or maybe you're going through the training. The training takes about, Moni is asking this question, could you please elaborate how long is the training? Well, again, there are hour and a half sessions. There are 8 modules, so you can figure that within about 2 to 3 weeks, you can go through the entire training and get certified within 3 weeks. Most people under a month for sure. So if you got started here pretty quick, you'd be through with the training, and be ready to hit the ground running at the first week of next year. Let me give you the steps to success. If you'd like to know how to get started with our business, it's real simple. Start by looking over our downloadable research guide. Now let me show you what that looks like. This is actually 50 pages, 8.5 by 11 pages, full color of information about our business. And so you get that from the person who invited you to this webinar. Just get back with that person. I'll put our phone number up here in just a minute if you're not sure who that is, and you can ask them to send that to you. They'll send that to your email address. Then browse our YouTube channel. Yeah, here it is right here. It's youtube.com/YABS. And you can watch videos that we've put out there for the past 10 or 12 years about our business opportunity, including some of those interviews with people that I've done in the past. Then number 3 is ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. Now here's what that looks like. It's actual names, addresses, and phone numbers of people who have been through our training, who are willing to take phone calls and tell you a little bit more about it. We don't tell them what to say. They're just people who are grateful for the opportunity to tell other people what a great opportunity this is. And then be sure and ask for a live demo of our software. Remember, our iClaim EMRX platform is a cloud-based system, so we can't send it to you on a CD. We want to show it to you live and answer your questions so you can see for yourself how cool it is to be able to work from anywhere in the world, logging in on any browser that you have right now. We'll show you the iClaim system itself, which is what you use to do the billing, and then the electronic medical records you see there as well. So you'll see exactly what the doctor and their staff see using that. And then last but not least, ask for a copy of our purchase agreement, and they'll give you some funding instructions along with that. So again, just get back with the person who invited you to the webinar. That agreement is 4 pages, as you can see. You'll be able to read that over, show it to friends or relatives or attorneys or whoever you want to, partners, and you'll know exactly what you're getting into here. By the way, that presentation has a paragraph in there that tells about our 100% money back guarantee. That's pretty important that you know, folks, that you have no risk. You have no risk. Let me let that sink in. When you invest with our business opportunity / franchise opportunity, you don't have any risk. You get 100% of your money back if within 30 days you don't think this is right for you. That's how simple it is. There's no weasel words in there. You'll see when you get the copy of that purchase agreement that is pretty straightforward. We can do that because we've only had a handful of people in 25 years ask for their money back. So even though it has happened for different reasons, it doesn't matter. You have not risked a penny by investing in our business. Now, that's important that you let that sink in. If you invest with any other company that does anything similar to what we do or that is in a related field even, and they don't give you a money back guarantee, that's it. Once you send them the money, it's a done deal. And not with us. We know what we have, and we're willing to do that. Now, you can book your first training session right now by calling this number, asking who your ABS representative is. We can look that up and tell you, and get you anything you need, including contact with that person so you can get your reference list and your demo if you want to see a live demo. All of that is available by just calling our toll-free number and just asking about that. So I'm going to see if there's any other questions on here. Something Monia says, any particular licensing that you need. Well, Monia, the only thing we know of is that if you want to start a business in any given area, check with your county courthouse. Ask them what I need to do to register the name of a business. That might cost you 10 or 20 bucks. That's the only licensing. We give you the license to our software to use that as an ABS licensee. Okay, well, thanks for being on here, folks. I hope you all have a safe and a happy holiday season coming up. Meanwhile, be sure and go over there and register for the webinar next week, where I'll be interviewing one of our licensees, and you'll be able to ask questions, and grab a copy of the slides that are over there in the handout as well. So again, thank you for being on here. My name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the CEO and the founder of American Business Systems, and I thank you for looking into our opportunity. I hope it's for you. Bye for now.